Hi there, Randy Green here. My voice is beginning to get a little bit strained of all this talking, but as usual, I'm working head on because the energy is here and it's not there tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a different type of energy, so I have to work my way through the videos today, and you will just have to suffer with me looking more and more tired and my voice being more and more strained. But the energy is here for this today, so I have to do it today. So that's one of the rules of the fourth density. You work with the energy while it's there on that day. It cannot wait till tomorrow. What you have of feelings, emotions, ideas of what is going on today have to be done today, because tomorrow the energy will be different. Okay, so that is one thing, and that's literally because our sorry, the more the fourth density begins to bridge into the third density and repair it back to its natural state, the more the reality will change according to what people feel when they wake up. So that means there's a lot of manipulation going on with humans during that time. And that is again using the old technology that was put there from the original human races, which were actually put there to repair and upgrade the mammal vessel in the beginning. And this has been, of course, adjusted by the Syrian races that came in and made their programs here. So that was originally intended for good, but due to the CETAs and they are coming in, most of this technology has actually been changed into supporting the negative alien agenda, which are then using this during that time while you're dreaming or whatever. So you're being pushed, your consciousness is being pushed into some of the programs they have where they want you to produce energy for them as well during that time. And I'm already getting ahead of myself here. Okay, let us... That's just because I got into so high level talk about all the negative things in the previous video. So I will shift my warrior. They're trying very hard to activate that today. So that means something is going on there. And let me focus a little bit on that one, because that's actually what I wanted to talk about. As I talked about in a previous video, the third density is based upon atomic or electromagnetic features. These were put here to ensure that what was ever going on inside the mammal vessel would not manifest directly, because that's a feature of the fourth density. So that means that the fourth density races have rules and laws of engagement and how to work and exist and be around each other. There are quite substantial amounts of laws, and they are made to protect that whatever's going on will not lead to unfortunate events where the series of events that single event will lead to will not ripple into the past, changing that, or ripple into the future and changing that as well. So living in the fourth density with a fourth density consciousness is something that we will have to work quite a lot to get used to. And again, that's why the new Syrian races in the fifth density that are coming in, talking about ascension and the beautiful futures and beautiful humanities, which they create, by the way, but that will be all about using modification technology, which is a kind of liquid light technology they put into the nervous system, and from that literally control your emotional outbursts as well as your function of your brain. So that's just going from one control system and into another. And I would like to give us a chance to work with this and prove ourselves as a beautiful race. Really, because there's much capacity going on there, and I feel that we can do a lot of good with the alterations that have been done to us, so we can literally become the prime of some of the programs that have been going on here. So that's also what I want us to do. For me, I can see we can change into something extremely beautiful. And from that, begin to link back up to the actual human races that exist in other systems, and not being stuck in this humanoid system that we currently have been sucked back into, because this universe were actually supposed to be human. So that's why we got some things going on there. And in terms of benevolent races, we don't really find them amongst the humanoids. We have to go to the humans, but these humans, they exist from what's called sixth density and up. So we got a little bit of work to do to get there. So this is also where the humanoids have been, when I say we, as this vessel is actually mainly humanoid as it looks now. But we have the capacity to work with this and change into real human, which are some totally different than this type of being, because it's a sixth density feature and a sixth density type of consciousness. And from that, as I said in the previous video, consciousness expresses itself into its form. So that creates a total different type of feature. So that is why when we talk about genetics in the fourth density races, their appearance correspond with what type of consciousness genetics they've got. So that's why when it's an insectoid consciousness type, which can be highly advanced and technological, it's nothing to do with being stupid or anything, on the contrary, that expresses itself into an insectoid form. So that is kind of how you can see it, unless they use holograms, which they typically do. But when you learn to sense energy, you get the energy behind, and you will detect that this is just them using a hologram so they won't frighten you or whatever they have of things going on. Okay. There has been a lot of talk about the fourth density coming in, and we are waiting for the fifth density or dimension to come in, and that is actually totally incorrect, because it's already there. It's been there ever since this system was created. As I said in the previous video, this is a third density, and third density is just spatial. It just gives evolution or the push to expand. That's all the third dimensional energy actually is. The electromagnetic energy that's been created here is artificial, and that is in the making of dissolving and resetting, and then we will get the natural fourth density type of energy, which is spatial, but it has the density feature in it. And what does that mean? The density feature is a kind of vibration, and it goes with the type of consciousness that is being expressed using the fourth dimensional type of energy. And the fourth dimension is not time. If you do want to use time for anything, it's actually an expression of density, of movement, of the kind of how fast does the expansion rate of the third density or third dimensional energy goes. So if the consciousness gets very dim and heavy, then time slows down and becomes very slow. And then you kind of get this delay on actions, which we have in our reality. That's why we've been reconstructed. So there would be delay. So there will be no effect directly of what we think and feel. And that is where the Nagas in the ancient teachings try to teach people about karma. And that kind of course, as with all other teaching systems, kind of got screwed up. So now it's all about negative karma and these kind of things. Karma can be positive as well. It just means the actions that is expressed in the physical reality of how you think and feel. It's that simple. That's all what karma is. And then it's gone into, that's a kind of effect of the past and all these kind of things. And that's kind of correct in evolutions that run naturally from consciousness expressed into organic form. That's the transgression rate. And the more you kind of not follow the rules of a system, these are kind of principles built into the system itself, the higher transgression rate you will get, and the more dense that system will become, until it becomes so dense that consciousness cannot exist there, and then it turns into pure energy. And when it turns into pure energy, it begins to go into evaporation. And that is some of the issues some of these races actually also have in their own system because of their high transgression rate. So these are some of the rules that are going on there. And this is again where I'm going to try to school you to this, because when we rediscover the fourth density, that's the best way to put it, because already there. When we rediscover the fourth density and how that actually works, and that is in the making, these rules and laws and transgression and progression and these kind of progression rate, which means you develop yourself, transgression rate means that you lose consciousness. will become very important for our actions and how we do things. And that is also why the newer races wants to do the modification technologies, because the current state of the human mind and human emotions, when that is let loose into the rediscovered fourth density that comes back to its natural setting in this system. The current way humans function now, with our desires and material gain features, love making, selfish projection in love features, anger, the way we take care of our kids, the animals we eat, the slaughters we perform, the objectifying of genders on both sides, the perversion in our sexuality, the whole sexuality itself, procreation as it is now. All of the things you consider total normal human ways of behaving has such a high transgression rate that as a race, we won't last long. And that is what some of these races that want to colonize this planet with are counting on. They are counting on when the fourth density comes back in, the natural laws of the system begins to kick in. The current manimal form will dissolve on its own, because the normal human ways, which we see as total natural, will lead to such a high transgression rate that it will take one generation, and then the vessels are out and the human evolution is gone. That is also why they've done the hybridization programs. And that is part of why the military, as well as foreseeing the wars, also foresaw the resetting of the system and the cycles which they got informed of by the CITES and some of the races they're working with. They tried to the best of their abilities, and this is not us getting mad at the military, because everybody has a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. They all think they're doing the right thing. Remember that. Always remember, everybody always thinks they're doing the right thing, even though it's totally selfish and preservation of their own race, of a humanity as they thought they wanted to preserve. These soldiers and these colonels and majors were human in their mindset, and they did what they thought were best for humanity. So they literally took 30%, actually only 20% of the human population in the 50s. Remember, we were quite fewer people back there. And then they let the other 80% be under the jurisdiction of the existing or incoming races. And at the time, they didn't know much about the existing races because they were kind of in a hiding. But that became part of some of the secret collaborations, for instance, the Majestic 12s. The Majestic 12 operated with some of the 12 colonies that were already here, the 12 tribes, you already heard about it, and some of the spokespersons for this in human form already beginning to know the existence of the existing races. And trade were being made. Again, remember, trade is very important for the alien races. We are the humanoids. They trade. In the human systems, we do it differently. And that I will teach you about later on. But right now, you need to learn about the humanoid system you're part of, the humanoid vessel you're part of, the humanoid genetics you've got inserted. And that you need to learn in your brain. So this is what I'm teaching you, and you have to be very careful here. You need to learn trade, and you need to learn how you word things, because what you say in the fourth density has a huge effect on your genetics, as well as others, as well as the reality you're part of. So they are very careful with their words in the fourth density. And that is why I pick my words as well when I work with the energy here, because I'm inviting you into the fourth density consciousness. And that's why I pick my words very carefully, and that's why I talk very slowly and modulated, and I keep my emotions under check. And I'm doing that because when I'm revealing this information for you, I am literally, with my consciousness, when I talk about something, I am looking into the information layer in the fourth density. And in that, there are always races connected to that. And with my intention focused there, I'm interacting with these races. Okay? So I have to be mindful, and this is not about me taking a stand from humans or aliens or whatever. This is me teaching you about how you are supposed to act and be and learn to be as a human if you want to go into the fourth density and learn to handle things there. So this is me inviting you to the party of the grown-ups, okay? And in that, what you typically perceive as your human rights, they are your human prerogative. But I am not advocating for the human prerogative, because the human prerogative of human behavior as it has developed on this planet is not something I support or endorse. Never did. So I will try to teach you, to the best of my abilities, some of the features that you should focus on developing in yourself. And I'm doing it by explaining things to you so you get the understanding of why it's so important that you take yourself seriously enough to modulate and educate and change your behaviors and change your emotional setup and change the way you think and change the way you perceive things so that you will be equipped to the things that are going on. Okay. So the military chose to enhance 20% of the human population in the 50s, beginning their projects there. And they began with their family members, part of their cities, experimenting first on the indigenous people. And no, I do not endorse that either. Actually, if you want me to really yell and scream and say a lot of dirty words, that goes with the things that the military did, because their ignorance, and these males that decided to do so, and females that decided to do so, I know they were under influence of mind control of some of these races that came in. That's the only excuse they have got. But they messed up things so severely in this system that goes beyond what any race of the fourth and fifth density have ever done in this system. And you have to understand that some of the worst things that have been done to this library is actually done by humans. So before you begin pointing fingers at the other races and calling them arrogant and shit races, as I do sometimes, and that's a part of my MO, and that's how I work with them, and they know it and they respect me for it, because they know I'm not afraid of them, and they know I can take them out, which I can. There are different ways you can use your consciousness in the fourth dimension. So that also means that war in the fourth dimension can both be with weapons and crafts, but it can also be war of the mind. So that's part of the trickery. And everybody knows that. That's part of the rules. Everybody knows that in the fourth density. Okay, so you have to understand this. So if we are to point our anger at anybody, whatsoever, it goes that way. Okay, so let's not get angry and agitated and say these races are our enemies. They are our competitors for this system, and that's the right way to put it. And I want to dress you up for the competition. So let's put that mindset in place. Forget about working against them and fighting against them and these kind of things. It can soon enough come to that. But as long as you don't know how to work in the fourth density using your capacity and your mind and your abilities in the right way, you don't stand a chance. So until you are equipped to do so, and the warring faction are actually allowing us to do so because they want to take the wars in the fourth density. And these are some of the future wars I have been participating in as well. So I know how that's going to play out. They are inviting us to develop these genetics in us as well, because that was the agenda of the CITES, and they have prepared some of us quite severely to be able to participate in these wars. So it's already in the making. But this is, in most of humans that got this warrior set up, this is dormant for now, and I don't want to stir it up. We can, when time is right and if it's necessary, we can size up to that as well. So no worries, we are not under-equipped, those of us who are here to solve these solutions, solve these issues, okay? None of us are under-equipped. And the races that are coming in here diplomatically, taking part of this vessel and integrating themselves, are playing the benevolent trading card first, learning the ways of this system and the humans trying to understand it, which is difficult for most of them. Because it's difficult for most of them because it's so foreign to where they come from, and they literally don't understand it. And I had a lot of issues with the human ways as well. So they have come in and they will try to the best of their abilities to find peaceful solutions, because if this blows up in our heads for all the races that are here, as I said, it will ripple back into the past and into the future, and it will create some wars we do not want to unfold. And if that happens, the humans in the future, the other systems that actually use these genetic libraries and it's theirs, they will have to make some very difficult choices of how to solve their infestations. That's the contamination that's going on down here. Okay. I keep getting derailed, but that's because things are going on today. It's okay, it's all information, it's all part of what you need to learn. The fourth density is already here. The only reason why you can't see it is because your mind is controlled into a specific frequency band, rainbow color, that goes from 0 to 30 hertz, and that controls what you're able to perceive, see, sense, and feel, and all these kind of things. So that is how you're being controlled, and these are mainly being controlled by what's called the frequency fence, which goes with frequencies. And it has very little to do with HARP, because HARP goes up into the ionosphere and is part of some of the control mechanisms of opening and closing down the different dimensional or entrance points of the dimensions into the third. Let me put it that way. So that's part of the military attempt to control some of the visitors that came in, what they allowed to come in, and if they're allowed to come in, and these kind of things. The current military I'm talking about here are the ones that now exist in the fourth density, but they are part of the normal human military, but they are part of the normal human military using clones. And that means that they have got soldiers inside the normal human military that are clones, and they can, from the fourth density, go into these clones in the third dimension and take these over the clones, and in that, if necessary, go in and control the third dimension and whatever's going on here. And that has also been practiced quite a lot. So especially the Navy, there is a high level of clones there that are that are linked up to the fourth density military enhanced humans that grew out of the projects of the 50s. Okay, so they are here to protect us. If they need, they can go right into these clones, and they can go into the third dimension and operate directly in here if they see necessary. But for now, they are quite content with working from the fourth density and controlling things from that level and into the third dimension, because the fourth density is already here. So that means that whenever you exist in the fourth density, you exist here. Right here. It's just a matter of modulating your frequency a little bit to make itself known or not. The fourth density is already here. It's part of your everyday life. It's part of your dream time. It's part of your human vessel. It is part of the machines you have around you. I know some of you will not take this lightly, but most of the technology you're using, that is using the running on its own, including your car, which is being transformed slowly. Transformers, that movie was not made there for fun, is already holding AI technology, because cars are actually based upon alien technology, which were inserted and given to the creators of cars, and including Ford, which were one of the first, and he was part of a bloodline that goes back to, can't really see what race that is. That's a kind of clan as well, the colonizers. So the colonizers, the clans, are actually the implementers and the controllers of the third dimension or density, the reality we have. They are the ones that ensure that it works, that the energies in it are correctly adjusted to the current programs that are running here, as well as ensuring that business runs as usual, that the monetary systems function correctly, that trade is being expressed on all levels of this reality, which it is if you think about it. Even a loving relationship, as humans are constructed today and the way they operate in mind and emotions, is a kind of trade. It's a kind of compromise. We call it compromise. We compromise in our relationship. We compromise in our work situation. We compromise with this to achieve something else. That's trade. So it's already here in all levels of our reality. It's always a huge part of your current day life, your everyday life. It's just because you haven't noticed it. It's just because you haven't really thought about it, which is of course part of the controlling mechanism of your brain. Because this vessel is the 30% of the human population is already totally engineered to be able to function in the fourth density, as well as link up to it consciously to begin with. Okay, so that's in the making, and that's been in the making for quite some time. It's also in the making that the current form of our societies are being changed. As I said, the cars are already having AI technology. They already learn to drive on their own, not having to have a driver. We are already working with the hoovering, which will come very, very natural when the fourth density is totally into this, because it's just a matter of literally creating a specific type of code sequence, and then the car it's not artificially intelligent as in developing, but it's kind of intelligent. It gets a code and then it kind of runs on the program you code into it. The computers has been part of this recreation of the electromagnetic energy, transforming it into code energy, and from that it's easily bridged into the fourth density, which is all about codes and light language, from where you control energy. So all alien technology is based upon symbols that controls it. So it's semi-organic and it's semi-molecular, but it's controlled by symbols and by consciousness features. And the ones that operates it use their mind to turn it off or off, on or off, by using these code sequences. And the code sequences are a specific type of letters that actually goes from right to left, which you see in the ancient languages. That's why they go that way, Hebrew for instance. And these code sequences are literally read by the consciousness, but you have to have genetic affinity to activate them, so that the machine is literally built to correspond and work with the fourth density consciousness, the fourth density organism, the male or female. They control their machines by conscious link up. It's a kind of extension of their already genetic composition, because consciousness goes into the physical form of fourth density races, and that goes into their technology as well, which has got genetic components of the operator. And that is something that was part of the original mammal vessel, which we have, that it would link up to fourth and fifth density races and their consciousness, so they would be able to work through this mammal vessel in the programs, so they could develop features of their genetics that was not that fortunate in their own system. So that was what the original mammal vessel was created for under the Syrian programs. that was not part of the original human evolutions that went on here, because we were here, we worked here, we were part of this system, we worked with the universes, we created all the technology here, and we participated in all of the things that were going on here. It was not about using a vessel as a kind of semi-organic, self-developing organism, kind of slightly re-engineered and artificial in its construction. The original human evolutions here, our vessels were a creation of our consciousness. So of course that is something the Syrians added to this, and they did that to solve issues, to delay some of the issues they had at home. They could not take their normal vessel here because that would just enhance the issues they had at home. And again, the Syrians are fifth density races. So the fifth density is already here and has been here for a very long time as well. So it's not about going into the fifth dimension and then everything will be good. Actually, we have equally issues in the fifth density as well. So it's, yeah, not going there again. So the constructions of the houses that will be seen in the fourth density are already in the making. All the clients are preparing for the fourth density to come in and really kick in and reset the third density around at least 2035. Probably between 2025 up to 2035, this will kick really in. And that is why there's a lot of new houses out there being built on aluminum and glass, and not with squared features, but actually round. Because when you go into the fourth density, squared things do not work well. And that has something to do with energy. Third density energy or third dimensional energy has a natural way of expanding into round shapes. That's a natural form of the third dimensional energy. And it goes into probabilities and possibilities. That's all the third dimensional is about. Probabilities and possibilities. And you see that in the quantum science is where you get the real third dimensional energy, not the controlled one we got up here that creates it into squares and pyramids and angled forms, which are very unnatural for the third dimension. So when the fourth density gets back in and begins to reset that to its natural, the energy features of our system will change, and things will have to have round corners, soft lines, and features that are not angular. Let's just put it that way, because that works best with the flux state of the fourth density. Now, everything's not going to go into chaos or whatever, because the races that are there, that's why we've got a lot of technology, are ensuring that the organic physical level of the fourth density, which is and exists, are kept in a balanced way. First and foremost by the rules of engagement, by the rules of trade, as well as the use of their technology and how they use it and how they engineer their houses and their vessels and all the things that are going on there in a specific way that ensures that it will not go into chaos. So again, this is where humans on this planet have a lot to learn, because as the fourth density comes in, and it's in the making, they're working very heavily on it. Some of you are talking about, you're hearing booms, I heard them as well. You're hearing this kind of booms as if some high frequency engine goes on, or some kind of, what do you call it, over sound, what do you call it when you've got a jet plane that kind of goes, supersonic sound, kind of going from one state into another, and it just hits the sound barrier. That is because they are now working very heavily to break down literally the old type of third dimensional energy, and upgrading the frequency fence now to go beyond the control level. They got new controlling systems to dim down humans, the remaining 70%, so they don't see that, but in that they are beginning to unfold the consciousness structure of those of us who have been hybridized. So they are changing our reality as we speak. They are resetting it, and that is done by the